Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about 5 important strategies to get your ex back.
Get your ex back in 5 easy steps. Just kidding.
You know, there are so many important things that you have to do in a breakup to turn things around. And we get a lot of new people to the channel every day, every week, and they need to see these basic things. And quite honestly, I think many of you that even though you've been in no contact for a while, need to hear these basic things again.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And if you know our channel, we're all about mental health. We're all about personal growth. And so while we do not give any guarantees, as this title might sound, what we do want is to put you in the best position to repair your relationship. So I want to be clear about that. Yeah. So these are some basic things to get you to a better place in your breakup, regardless really of if you want your ex back or not, but it definitely will put you in a better place to repair.
Yeah. So whether you've been watching our channel for a while or you're brand new, these are going to be helpful for you to hear us reinforce these ideas because it's scary, it's confusing, it's overwhelming. There's so many different emotions you're going through, and a lot of times we crack. As a matter of fact, I made a minor adjustment to my initial instructions today.
Okay.
Because of somebody that I said, okay, I'm going to reemphasize this from now on. So when you sign up for a coaching, we help you, choose a time slot, and we'd send you some basic instructions to review and, things about the Zoom call and things like that. Very simple stuff. But one of the things that I added is when you sign up for their coaching, do not contact your ex before you talk to us.
How did I know that it was going to be that?
Did you know?
I just had a feeling. Because it does happen all the time where you might be watching the channel, you might, be wanting to talk to us for some help, but then there's, actions that happen in between then that make it much more difficult. So
I talked to a guy today who was doing so good. I was so impressed with how he was handling things, the whole thing, the whole breakup, the no contact, everything. He signed up for the coaching, and literally right before our call, the day before our call, he cracked. And he sent a whole bunch of messages. I miss you. I love you. I want to work this out. I swear sometimes you guys just want to make a big mess of everything and then have us fix it in the call. I would much rather us fix these things before you make that mess. So I said, please, if you sign, wait to contact or wait to do the call before you do anything. Don't do anything.
And that brings us to our first point, which is going into no reach out. So other coaches might have timelines as to wait 30 days before you reach out to an ex or send this on the 15th day.
Oh, there's so much nonsense out there.
We're not about that. Yeah. So here we talk about no reach out.
45 days. Yeah. It's been 45 days. I'm not even kidding you. I'm not even kidding you. Literally, when I sat down before we went to film this one, in my email, I just got an email from somebody who said, I'm sending you a 45-day update. Somebody that we both have done a bunch of calls with.
You say that, and then my clients are like, was it me that Craig was talking about?
They'll know who it is. I didn't even get to open the email because we're sitting the film, of course. But I saw right now 45 days because I had to send Victoria the links to some of the videos we're going to review today, and I saw a 45-day update. We don't talk about 45 days. 45 days is a made-up thing.
Right. We talk about indefinitely because what we ultimately want is for you to become more secure, to get into a more secure space, and there is no definitive time for that. Right. It's hard to put a deadline on some emotional goals, right?
Yeah.
Especially when each person is so complex.
But what I wanted to emphasize is that there is no decrease of your ex reaching out after 45 days, blah, blah, blah. There's a bunch of nonsense out there.
People are too complex for,
oh my gosh,
for deadlines
it makes
like
me
that.
So crazy sometimes. The bad information out there is so awful. There is no drop off after 45 days.
Yeah.
Okay. Especially if you date an avoidant. 45 days is still a relief
we're not even getting started. Yeah.
It can be true though. Obviously, every situation is different. But yeah, no, 45 days is nothing for an avoidant ex. Like, please. I know hearing that on your end is like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. But it gives you more time to heal and to get ready for when they come back.
Right.
But I want to reemphasize the first point we're making here is you want to go into no contact. As we teach it, no reaching out. Your ex made the decision. They have to live with it. They have to face the consequences. They need to feel the space. They need to feel the loss. Do not break that for any reason. Do not reach out for a birthday. Do not reach out for Valentine's Day. Do not reach out because their hamster had a scary day at the park. I don't know, whatever reason you can come up with. I don't want you to break it. Let them reach out to you.
Right. And I know we sound pretty concrete and solid on this, and it's really because we want to respect our ex's decision. This is why we're telling you this. Many times, we have that impulse to reach out. We have the impulse to want to convince, to talk about it, to force a connection. Once your ex has made a decision, we have to respect that, and we have to, at that point, be responsible for our own emotions and learn how to self-soothe. So I know we can be sticklers with the no contact and the no reach out, but we're doing it so that you can learn to manage anxiety during this period of time, because our minds like to play tricks on us. Our minds like to tell us that if we say X, Y, or Z, or if we catch our ex before this certain date where they magically move on, that then we'll increase our chances and save this relationship. But we have to be able to manage our anxiety on our own. So that's one of the important things, is really growing in confidence that you will be okay without communicating with your ex. You will be okay with starting that separation. I know we get separation anxiety. We want to be close and connected with our ex, but this is part of trusting ourselves, trusting that we'll be okay without them. And that's an attractive quality.
You want to see their interest level. The only way you're going to allow that to happen is if they reach out. And they'll do that when they want to talk to you, when they're ready. So please allow them the space and the time for them to reach out when they're ready. Now, when they do, they're probably going to be indirect.
Probably.
Why is that?
Because they're not ready to be direct, right? It can be hard for them to reach out to an ex because they might be feeling a lot of different things. They might still be ambivalent. Them reaching out might not be them at a point where they're 100% ready to repair this relationship. It might be, I wonder how my ex might respond if I were to reach out to them. Would they reply at all? Would they be angry? Would they reject me? So that in itself...
Yes.
That in itself is a
huge.
bid.
Even the dumper. Even the dumper will be afraid of rejection. Now, I know it's hard to believe it, but even the dumper can be afraid of rejection.
And that leads us to the second point, which is we don't want to ignore our ex. So other channels will have no contact, and we'll see it in a different way as, cease all communication with an ex. Here we talk about no reach out. So if your ex reaches out to you, that is them wanting to connect. It's them asking, hey, can we talk here? Can we bond on some tiny level? Right? And if we ignore those requests, that feels like a rejection, right? And so when we say no reach out, that means if our ex reaches out to us, we respond to that. We say, okay, let's hear what you have to say. Let's see where this connection leads. We don't want to cut them off if we're trying to repair.
That's right. Because especially if they didn't ever ignore you or anything like that during the breakup, then it's going to look kind of like you're being immature about things. And it's like, okay, they're reaching out and you're replying or not replying to them.
Yeah.
You don't want to look petty like that. Like you want to act like an adult. We try and have you guys do healthy, mature things in a breakup. And some people will say, ignore them until they say something worthy. Okay, well, you can if you want, but you're likely risking them being afraid to reach out again.
Yeah, and they don't need to say anything worthy in order to warrant a conversation. Unless they did something really bad to you, then it's okay, then don't even talk to me, right? But if you're trying to repair something with them, I know you might have some standards as to what you'd want your next relationship to look like, even if it's a relationship with your ex, so I get that. However, if we're making the threshold super high to even have a conversation, we might be pushing away our ex, right? So we have to, if we're trying to repair, we have to be open enough to hearing what they have to say. We're also trying to decide, are we wanting to repair once we do have that conversation with our ex? It might lead to, okay, our ex hasn't been doing very well in the time that we've been apart, right? We might figure that out. But you want to be open to that conversation to see where it leads. If the threshold is too high, then you might be blocking yourself off and pushing them away.
Yeah, you could miss out on an opportunity, right? Sometimes we only have a small window of opportunity when it comes to turning things around with an ex. And in all things in life, if you want to get hired at a job, well, you have a limited window of when they're hiring for that position, right? So you got to look at it that way.
Not to be confused with the window of them moving on after a breakup with no contact.
Yeah.
We're talking more so on if they are in that place to connect with you, just to be clear on that.
Okay, the third thing that you want to make sure that you do or not do, in this case, is don't agree to be friends with them, okay? Now, this usually happens early on, or sometimes an ex will say, well, maybe we could be friends again in the future. We're friends in the future. Fifths, friends in futures. No thanks.
No fifths.
No fifths. If you want to be in a romantic relationship with somebody, then I would not recommend that you settle for less than that unless you're truly, truly okay with just a friendship. And you got to think about a lot of different things in regards to that. Do you really want to be friends with them if you are seeing them dating other people or talking to other people? And are you really their friend if you're trying to manipulate them into more? If you really want to get back together, are you really being their friend if you're pretending to be something that you're not?
Exactly. And we know that it can sound harsh because your ex might just be offering it to maintain that connection. And you might be thinking, well, I'd rather be their friend than lose them entirely. But here we're talking about your own boundaries. We're talking about you being authentic to yourself and you being authentic with what kind of a relationship you want with that person. If we're talking, quite a while later, we know that in certain communities things can change, especially if you have many mutual friends. However, we have to be honest with what we want. We have to be genuine with our intentions. If you like somebody romantically, it's not wise to settle for a friendship, because a lot of times what that entails is if they are open to romantic connections with other people, they might tell you about it.
Yeah.
Right? And that puts you in a really uncomfortable position, and it could put them and their future partner in an uncomfortable position.
It could also keep you stuck.
Yeah.
Right? If you're secretly just hoping to get back with them and they're dating and moving on, but you're pretending to be their friend all along, how likely are you going to be to move on if you're just hoping to be back with them all this time when you should be, processing and healing and getting to a good place again?
Mm-hmm. Right. So what we're really wanting is for there to be authenticity in the kind of connection that the two of you have. All right. Our next point, talking about friends, is taking advice from friends and family. Mm-hmm. And this is not to say that you can't have a support system. I will talk my tongue off about support systems and how important they are. I am like the first person to tell you, go out there, make friends, talk to your friends, all of those things. But when we're taking advice from all different avenues and all different ideas, and one person's telling you to send them a handwritten letter, another person's telling you to show up at their door, the other person is telling you to block them, it can be really confusing and disorienting, right? Mm-hmm. And we can also be trusting people who might not have the perspective that professionals would, or that have deeper insight into relationships.
Absolutely. They can be well-meaning. They can care. They could, want to see the best for you, but it doesn't mean that they're going to give you good strategies. Many times they are going to tell you the opposite of what we would tell you to do.
Right.
Okay? They don't know better. They just say what sounds good. But unfortunately, those things are the opposite of what you need to do. They'll say, tell your ex how you feel. Just get everything off of your chest. Or, I don't like the way they're treating you. You need to set an ultimatum with them. You need to tell them this and that. And if they're not going to go along with
it could be a lot. It could be a lot. And a lot of times your friends and family, they want to protect you. So it can be from that bias, or the opposite. If they give you advice, it might not really affect them. And so they might have more of a nonchalant, or, hey, why are you telling me about this? This doesn't really matter. A lot of times even friends can be dismissive and write us off too. Mm-hmm. So, thinking about friends being a source of support, being, a source of being able to go out there and be in a better mood and vent. Yes. However, trying to take advice and say, well, what would you do? And how would you do it? We have to be able to own our own decisions in a breakup.
If you guys saw the amount of people that said, I listened to my friends and family and now I regret it, I mean, it happens multiple times a week that someone will say, I've been watching your channel for months, but I listened to my friends and family anyway and cracked and did this, and they regret it. And if you did that, please leave a comment so people see what we're trying to warn you ahead of time. We want to prevent these mistakes for you so you're far more likely to turn it around.
Right. All right, our next one is to learn about attachment styles. Education can be so helpful when it comes to breakups, when it comes to relationships. The more that we know, the better that we can navigate these situations, the better we understand ourselves, the better we understand our ex. And so learning about this stuff is not in vain.
It's empowering.
It is super empowering. You know, I haven't found a negative in learning all of these things. I know many of us can become very analytical and maybe intellectualize our pain through learning. I could say that could be a negative. But when we are seeking to understand and being self-reflective, it can often land us in a better place. You know, we often move away from that self-blame or beating ourselves up because we understand ourselves better. We end up moving away from blaming our partner or having really narrow views of the breakup. So learn about attachment style, figure out what attachment style you might be, you know, most aligned with, just from reflecting on your own life and your own relationship with key attachment figures and caregivers. I think it can give you a lot of insights that can be helpful.
I really believe that we have to find the balance between learning about where we went wrong in the relationship, learning about what our partner did that was a mistake, and how we can grow from that or do better next time, either with them or with somebody else. We try to be fair in our assessments and our email coachings between what the person that's doing the email coaching with versus their partner did in the relationship. We try to be fair and balanced in what information that we had. But I think one of the best things you can do is hold yourself accountable and asking those difficult questions. Like the creative healing course and the workbooks are really going to hold you accountable and make you grow and see things within yourself and your partner that they weren't perfect, areas they struggled, and improve upon those things. Sometimes people don't like that. Sometimes people get upset. I swear it must have been a drunk email this past week.
What makes you think it was a drunk email?
Because they were ranting and raving about how we always blame the dumpy. And I'm like, okay, first of all, that's not even true. You're only hearing what you want to hear. And then they started going off on some tirade. And then all of a sudden, like, the email is like, ends like mid-sentence. So I'm pretty sure they got drunk and fell asleep when they wrote it.
Well, we'll say as breakup coaches, it can be hard to address every single kind of breakup. And we have different videos on, understanding your own mistakes in a relationship, but then also understanding, that it's a dynamic and that sometimes we can be mistreated by our partner too in our breakup. So it's hard to have, a balanced view when there's so many different types of relationships, but we have a lot of videos out there. So if you're watching the one that doesn't apply to you.
In an email coaching, we're looking at a specific situation and breaking that one down based on the information that we have. And so those situations are always going to be different. There are so many different variables to every situation. I literally start the videos with every situation is different. Every breakup is different. Okay. That's for a reason. Okay?
And I will say, we like to talk about the things that we do have control over, right? So that includes self-reflecting on ways that we had gone wrong or things that we could do better in our relationships, including maybe leaving sooner if we need to, or identifying patterns of mistreatment or patterns of abuse even. And so, when we talk about improving ourselves, we're talking about, trying to have a well-rounded approach, trying to think of the ways that we treat the people that we love and what we can do better, for our own lives too.
Yeah. So, like I said earlier, every situation is different and every breakup is different. Many of these points, I think, are pretty solid points to turning a situation around. They are what I would do in a situation. And you may feel like you do need to do something differently. Those are all things we can talk about if you want to do a coaching with us one-on-one. If you'd like to do that, you go to my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Zoom calls. Coach Victoria is also available for Zoom calls.
I'm here whenever you'd like to chat.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.
you.